Alright, here's just a quick review of our regression unit. First thing we need to do is make sure our calculator's set up to do our regression unit. So when we turn it on, we need to hit second, which is this blue key, and then the 0 key to get the catalog, because we need to turn on our R and our R squared. So you're going to use the down arrow until you get to the diagnostics on. You're going to hit enter 2 times until it says done on your screen. Second thing we need to make sure is that our stat plot is on. So you are going to hit second and then the Y equals key to bring up this screen. Hit enter and then make sure your screen matches mine. Make sure that on is highlighted, make sure the scatter plot is highlighted, make sure the X list is coming from L1, the Y list is coming from L2, and then choose one of those marks. It really doesn't matter which one you have chosen. After that is all turned on, you should not have to do that to your calculator again. That should be set up to go ahead and go for the rest of the time. So if you hit second quit, that will bring back the home screen and you can clear that diagnostic on if you want to. We need to enter some data to do our regression with. So I just found some juice sitting around my house and wrote down the sodium and sugar content of the juice. To enter data, you hit stat and then hit enter to edit. I've already entered this data, but I want to show you how to clear it as well. If you have data in there that you need to clear out, go up to the top, hit clear, then when you arrow back down, it will be gone. Be very careful that you do not hit delete while you are up here, because then the list will completely go away and you'll have to refer to your troubleshooting guide to bring it back. When you are entering data, make sure you put your X values, so our sodium values, in L1, and your Y values, or our sugar values, in L2. Please hit enter after each value, and that's how you get them put in there. Make sure that your 2 columns have equal numbers. If you would like to see this scatter plot, hit zoom and then number 9, zoom being the middle key on the top row, and number 9, and it'll bring up your scatter plot. Most of the worksheets we gave you, you do need to sketch this scatter plot, so see if your worksheet's asking you to do that. Once you have sketched the scatter plot, then we need to look at the linear regression versus the quadratic regression. In order to do either regression, you hit the stat key, which is right there, and then you arrow right to calc. Number 4 is linear regression, number 5 is quadratic regression. We're going to do linear regression first, so we will hit number 4. Once it's on our home screen, we hit enter to bring up the information. Now this y equals ax plus b, that is a generic linear equation. In order to get the equation specific for this problem, you need to write down the a value and the b value in place of a and b. So for this one, we would write down y equals, and then depending on how many decimal points it asked us to go to, I'm going to go to 4 decimal points, so 5.4486x plus negative 78.4112. So that would be our equation specific to this problem. We also need to write down our r squared value for future reference. Ours is 9844. After we've gotten all that written down, we can either do two things to get that to show up on the graph. Hit the y equals button and you can put that equation in for y1, or if you don't want to do that because you can't round, you have to have this entire number and this entire number in there. And that's just going to be a lot of buttons to push. So in order to get the calculator to do this for you, while your linear regression is on the screen, hit your y equals key. Then you're going to hit vars, which is right next to clear. Number 5 for statistics, arrow right 2 times until you get to the reg EQ and hit enter. Then our equation is in our y equals, and if we hit zoom 9 again, we can see what that looks like. So we hit zoom line again, and now we have our scatter plot graphed with our line. After we've graphed our line, which is fantastic, we need to check and see if the linear equation, which we have right now, or if a quadratic would be better for this data. So we hit second mode, which is quit, takes us back to our home screen. You can clear here, but you don't have to. To get the quadratic regression, hit Stat, and then it's the same steps as we did for linear. Arrow right to Calc, except this time we're going to hit 5 for Quadrag instead of 4 for LinReg. Hit Enter to bring up that information. Again, we would write down our equation, replacing the A, B, and C this time with our numbers. So 0.3066x squared plus negative 5.8551x, that's in my way, hang on, plus 23.6974. That would be our quadratic for this one, and we also need our r squared value. Move calculator. That is 0.9986. So this is the equation, the quadratic regression specific for this equation. Make sure you're not writing down ax squared plus bx plus c. That's the generic form for any quadratic equation. We can put this one into the y equals as well. Remember, you can always write down this entire number and hit y equals and put the entire number in there. I don't want to do that. That takes way too much of my time. So in order to put the equation into y equals, I'm going to do the same steps as I did for the linear regression. However, in order to see them both, after I press my y equals key, I'm going to arrow down to one of the other ones, either y2, y3, y4, it doesn't matter which one, and then I am going to press my vars number 5 over and enter. Now you can see that I have my linear regression in y1 and my quadratic regression in y2. I know it's quadratic because I see this x to the second power here. When I hit zoom 9 this time, you'll notice there's my line, which we had before, but now there's the hint of a parabola right there. So most of your worksheets, again, will ask you to graph this, so go to your worksheet, see if it asks you to graph, and then graph the scatter plot with the line and the quadratic all on there. Then in order to pick which model is best, you need to look at your r squared value. So the r squared value on our linear regression was 0.9844. On our quadratic regression, it was 0.9986. The better fit is the one that's going to be closer to 1. So in our case, our quadratic regression is the better fit. So we're going to go into y equals and we're going to clear the worst fit one. In this case, our linear regression was in y1, so we're going to clear it out and just leave y2. Then if you want to graph it, you certainly may, but you don't have to. But that's what it would look like. To predict values, we first need to double check that our regression equation is in our y equals. If it's not in there, this won't work at all. So make sure that your regression equation that was the better fit is in your y equals by pressing the y equals key and making sure that there's an equation there. It doesn't matter which y it's in for, but it needs to be there. Predicting values for y is very easy. The way we are going to do this first is make sure that your table is set up. So hit second and then window. This table start value doesn't matter and the change in table doesn't matter. What matters is that your independent is highlighted for ask and your dependent is highlighted for auto. Once that's done, follow these directions. We are going to hit second and graph. I've got some stuff in there already, so let me delete it. We can put in whatever value we want and hit enter and it will tell us. So if we put in a y value, remember you can use this to find any y value given your known x value. So we could put in like 15 and it would tell us the y value. So if there's 15 grams of, this was sodium, then sugar has 4.8 grams. You can also use this to find the Y-intercept if you put 0 in for x. So when x is 0, our y is 23.697. So when there's no sodium in the juice, the sugar is 23.7 grams. Excuse my handwriting. This is not a flat surface. So that's how you predict the y values. That's really the easy one. The more difficult one is predicting x values. In order to predict our x values, we have to use the graph. So we have to press y equals and then arrow to an open slot. In this case, I don't have to arrow because my y1 is open. And we're going to put in our y value, pardon me. We're going to put in our y value, and then we're going to hit graph. I was lucky because in my case I can see the horizontal line crossing my parabola, and if you could not see this, you would need to hit the window key and adjust your window so you could see this. If you can already see it, then we can go ahead and just follow these instructions. So we are going to hit second, trace, which brings up calc. Number 5 is going to find the intersect. We're going to use our right and left arrows to get close to where they cross. See that little flashing guy? Bring him close to where they cross, and then hit enter 3 times. You'll see it said first curve, second curve, guess, and then intersection. So note our intersection, our y value is 10. Make sure that your y value is whatever you put in. Mine was 10. So make sure your y value is 10. Oops, I lost it. I'll go back in there and do it again. My y value is 10. When my y value is 10, my x value is 16.368. So when y is 10, x is 16.37. That means in this problem, when there are 10 grams of sugar in the juice, the sodium has 16.37 grams. We can also use this second trace to find values or zeros. Zeros finds us our x-intercepts. If we look at our graph, I can't see my x-intercepts. They're going to be somewhere to the left of my screen, right? I'm going to go in here and clear this because I'm not predicting values anymore. I can't see my entire parabola, so I would need to see more left, which means I need to change the x-min to a smaller value, and I need to see more of the bottom of the graph, so I need to change my y-min to a smaller value. So I'm going to hit zoom. Oh, sorry, no, don't hit zoom. Follow these directions. We're going to hit window. Where are those directions? Anyway, hit window. Change your x-min to a smaller value and your y-min to a smaller value. Then hit graph, and let's see if we can see them now. Okay, so I can see both of my x-intercepts. So I'm going to use second and trace to select 0, number 2, and then I can choose either one of these x-intercepts to find. Since my little flashy guy is closer to this one, I'm just going to find this one. Use the left and right arrows to go to the left of your intercept, hit enter, and then use the right arrow to go to the right of your intercept, hit enter. When it says guess, hit enter one more time, and that will show you your x-intercepts. It should always say that y is 0. If it doesn't, you need to look and see if you need to hit enter again or what's going on. So what this means for me is that when there is 0 sugar, because my y value is 0, I have 5.8 grams of sodium. I could also find this other one, which is going to be a little bit bigger. And then I just have to decide if they make sense in the problem. Sorry, this was a really quick review, but we needed to cover this. If you need to, go back and watch it again. Press pause so you can be doing the work with your calculator at the same time. Good luck.